Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, or maybe welcome back. I'm so happy to have you here for this new video. And in today's video we're gonna be discussing the case of Cyntoia Brown, who was sentenced to life imprisonment by the age of 16, who is now out of prison and doing some amazing work, and we're gonna be talking about all of this today. So let's get into it. Cyntoia Denise Brown was born on 29th of January 1988 in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Her father was unknown, and her mother, who was only 16 years old when she gave birth to Cyntoia, was a heavy alcohol and drug addict. She was constantly drinking alcohol during the pregnancy, which led Cyntoia to develop a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Unable to provide for her daughter, her mother gave Cyntoia up for adoption shortly after she was born. Even though Cyntoia had been adopted by a loving family, especially a very loving adoptive mother, she would shortly drop out of school and rather get involved in the street life and in the wrong crowds. From a young age, she got into substances herself, and she faced multiple violations with the law. At 16 years old, Cyntoia got to know a guy named Cutthroat. Of course, he had a different name, but this name is what he went by, so I'm gonna refer to him as Cutthroat. And this man, he was already older than Cyntoia. He was already a grown man at the time, so Cyntoia was kind of looking up to him and firstly saw him as a father figure, since she never really had a father figure, like her father was unknown. And after a while, the relationship between the two of them became sexual, and they mainly lived together in an in-town suites hotel, which is a chain of affordable long-term hotel room rentals, if you will. At one point, Cutthroat told Cyntoia that she would be the one responsible to make money for the two of them to be able to afford their drugs. And so, sadly, by the age of 16, Cyntoia got involved in prostitution. Cyntoia would later say that Cutthroat actually forced her into the prostitution and that she was threatened and beaten by him on a regular basis. On the night of the 6th of August 2004, while walking the streets, 16-year-old Cyntoia Brown met 43-year-old Johnny Allen, who was a successful real estate agent. After some negotiation about the money, Cyntoia agreed to get into Johnny's car, and they drove off to his house together. Having arrived at Johnny's house, apparently the first thing that Johnny did was to show his gun collection to Cyntoia. Cyntoia got an uncertain feeling about what she was doing there was the right thing, and so she asked Johnny if the two of them could have a nap firstly. So Johnny agrees, and the two of them were lying down on his bed. According to Cyntoia, shortly after they lay down to take that nap, Johnny started touching her in her private parts, and he became quite aggressive when Cyntoia refused him. At some point, Johnny allegedly bent over to one side of the bed to get something, of which Cyntoia immediately assumed this would be a weapon. Reacting very quickly, Cyntoia got herself a gun, like she would carry a gun for protection, which her friend Cutthroat gave her. So she grabbed that gun and she shot Johnny in the back of the head, killing him instantly. Following this incident, Cyntoia stole $172 in cash from Johnny's wallet, 2 of his firearms, and fled the scene in his car. She dumped the car in a Walmart parking lot. However, the police was able to track Cyntoia down, and later she was arrested in the in-town suites hotel where she lived. Cyntoia was being charged with 4 different counts: first-degree murder, aggravated robbery, firearm possession, and criminal impersonation. Despite only being 16 years old at the time of the crime, Cyntoia was tried as an adult for the reason that, as per the juvenile court judge, who was called Betty Adams Green, it would be too dangerous for the community to keep Cyntoia in the juvenile system. The trial began and Cyntoia immediately admitted to having shot Johnny. However, she claimed that it was self-defense. She said that she was basically scared for her life and this is why she had to shoot him. The main arguments from the prosecution during the trial was that forensic scientists and other people investigating the case claimed Johnny has been sleeping, laying on his side while he was shot. His hands were placed under his head and furthermore there was no gun found lying underneath the bed. On 14th of August 2004, an incident occurred where Cyntoia was taken to the Western Mental Health Institute for a psychic evaluation. In this institute, she asked a nurse if she could call her adoptive mother to talk to her. And the nurse denied her wish. And following that, Cyntoia threatened to kill her, quote, like the man she killed before, unquote. The nurse and another worker at the Mental Health Institute were called as witnesses for the prosecution at the trial. The arguments from the defense side were, first of all, mostly about the victim, Johnny Allen. As you might have noticed before, Johnny was already 43 years old when he got involved with 16-year-old Cyntoia Brown. One could argue that he was not aware of Cyntoia's age, of course. However, when you look at the pictures of her during that time, like in the courtroom for instance, she does look very, very, very young. She definitely does look like she is 16 years old. The defense called a witness to the stand who used to be dating Johnny for some time, and she claimed that one time when she came to his house, she was raped by Johnny against her will. Another witness was a 17-year-old girl who worked at a restaurant that Johnny visited. She saw Johnny hitting on younger girls and eventually he would also constantly flirt with her. So he was that kind of person. At the end of the trial, the jury found Cyntoia guilty of all 4 charges and she was sentenced to life in prison by the age of just 16 years old. While Cyntoia was in prison, she earned her GHD in March 2005 and later an associate degree in liberal arts in December 2015. Overall, she was referred to be a model prisoner and she showed only good behavior. In 2019, Cyntoia got married to the musician Jamie Long, taking the name Cyntoia Brown Long. Over the years, while Cyntoia was incarcerated, her case went more and more quiet. Until on 21st of November 2017, the case received new attention after some high-profile celebrities like Rihanna or Kim Kardashian posted about it on social media. Following that, in March 2018, the Tennessee Board of Pardons and Paroles agreed to host a hearing in the clemency petition for Cyntoia. The chance of having this hearing are actually super small, and if you remember my first video where I spoke about Todd Willingham, he did not have the chance to get this hearing. So Cyntoia got it, which was already a big thing. This was the first time that Cyntoia actually faced a real chance of getting out of prison. So the hearing took place on 28th of March 2018 in the Tennessee Prison for Women. There were witnesses coming forward from both sides, and at the end of the hearing, the board was equally divided. There were 2 votings to grant Cyntoia clemency, 2 votings to reduce her sentence to 25 years, and 2 votings to reject clemency. So there was no result, unfortunately. On the 6th of December 2018, the Tennessee Supreme Court responded to Cyntoia's habeas corpus appeal that she would be eligible for parole after serving 51 years, meaning she would get out of prison by the age of 67 years old. Following these happenings, there was a huge attention on the Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam, as he was the only person who was still able to grant clemency for Cyntoia. Finally, after a long and careful consideration, on 7th of January 2019, Governor Bill Haslam changed Cyntoia's sentence to 15 years of prison, followed by 10 years of supervised parole. Cyntoia Brown Long was eventually released from prison on 7th of August 2019 after serving 15 years. So currently Cyntoia, of course, she is out of prison. She is living together with her husband Jamie in Nashville, Tennessee. Since she was released from prison, she gave numerous interviews to the media and she became an advocate for victims of sex trafficking as a minor. She also became an icon of prison reform, and she stated multiple times how important it is for the governors to pay more careful attention to any clemency appeals. She also often held speeches against injustice and racism in the US prison system. On 15th of October 2009, Cyntoia published her book, which is called Free Cyntoia: My Search for Redemption in the American Prison System. On 28th of April 2020, Netflix has released a documentary called Murder to Mercy: The Cyntoia Brown Story. This documentary is very informative and I can definitely recommend it if you want to know more about this particular case. And with that being said, that's the end of today's video. So what do you think? I am really curious to hear your opinions in the comments. Me personally, I am happy that it ended this way. I am happy that she got out of prison after serving 15 years. I mean, 15 years is a very, very long time, especially considering that she was only 16 years old at the time of the crime. Also, probably we will never really know what happened in that night, what happened in the last moments of Johnny Allen's life. But I think we can all agree that, he did things wrong. He was 43 years old, she was 16, he took her home. I'm not saying that what Cyntoia did was entirely correct at that point, but I think she did serve enough time to better herself, and from what we can see now, she did change a lot during her time in prison. Like, she came from these horrible circumstances, from this horrible teenage years where she did a lot of mistakes, and she developed to be a really inspiring young woman. Like, I saw interviews with her and I was really impressed by her. So what do you think? Please let me know. And other than that, thank you so much for watching. I would really appreciate if you would like this video, if you would subscribe to my channel, as new videos are coming your way. Bye guys.